And there is where I actually saw this, came across IDC, and that was my aim, that no, I want to go there someday. And it happened that I was selected for it. And when I actually started to understand design properly, it was not just about sketching. We were sketching, but it was all about getting new ideas, how to translate your ideas into something which is workable, which is usable. Those kind of things I was really very happy to learn over there, and very challenging 2 years. Made very good friends, and we used to work whole day and whole night. So that was really good times. Then when I was in Bajaj, yeah, I was in Bajaj in 2005 till 2017, till I got this opportunity, and from 2017 I'm here. So yeah, just yeah, next. Yes, we always say that any good story starts with like once upon a time. So this is also story I will just start about, just going into the background of it. So once upon a time, we would say there was this Java motorcycle which we had designed, and we resurrected the brand in 2018. Everybody knows that it was launched in 2018 as a Java, and as a one other thing was a 42. So we had two different bikes. At this point of time, as you can see, it has extremely beautiful proportions. We had done all the detailing to it. Everything was there, but still we really wanted to have the ESD about it. And that was a big question with us, that we already have reached such a beautiful proportions, such beautiful things was there, all detailed to the last nut and bolt of it. That was the amount of detailing that we put. But our management said no, we cannot just have two vehicles into the market, we need to have the ESD brand. So that was the time when actually we started getting into management consultants. We hired a lot of management consultants, we did a lot of market research, and from there we actually came to know that what will the new ESD styling will be. And we also did our own styling research. We understood that how come in those days, when ESD sorry, when Java was there in India, it stopped manufacturing in 1969, and after that ESD came in. So what we felt is, why can't we also revisit the history, and uh, try to get some cues from it. So maybe we can use that cues in the current scenario. So that was our aim. So then we also visited all what was how did ESD translated from a Java to having its own identity. So as you can see over here, this is a very small image. Actually, there were a lot of researches and a lot of images, but I just boiled down it to some basic things. So when when Java stopped manufacturing 1969, after that you can see in 73 there was a ESD Classic. So styling wise, if you see, it's very close to the Java. And then came the Deluxe D type, and then finally the Road King, which we all, I mean, the our generation people know about it. So this was the motorcycle. So ESD Road King was something which had its own identity. If you see the styling wise, now if you see, this is a very classic looking motorcycles. I will just like to tell what does classic actually mean. Classic means something which is timeless, which it doesn't get old. So it has those kind of proportions, those kind of forms, which actually do not become old anytime. So they, anytime you see the motorcycle, you will feel as if it is just been manufactured this year and I'm using it. So classics are something which never go out of trend. There will be always some classic around us, so which has been carried out from generations. Styles, the style, if you see, I mean, in terms of fashion, we always say that a white t-shirt and a jeans, it's something which is classic. Anytime, even after like 20 years, if you wear those things, it will not go out of fashion, it will always be there. So those kind of things. So this is what we came. But in styling terms, we just came to know that fine, this is more towards an edgy kind of a thing. It is more sporty, more edgier, and more fast looking. So that was one of the influences what we came from understanding this history. Yeah. And then we actually wanted to understand what, where is this SD actually being used. So after that we came to know that the motorcycle Road King was actually being used in all other places, everywhere. I mean, it was used for adventure motorcycling, it was used on as a scrambling, just going here and there, and then it was also used for long roads, long roads where you can just go on riding and riding and riding. So then what we felt is, we wanted to design a vehicle, a ESD, which will cater to all these three needs. So in current scenario, actually, it is very hard to design some a single motorcycle which will take on all these things. But our lot of our time actually went into that only. okay, understanding and making one motorcycle which will cater to all of these. So almost like 6 7 months we were banging our head and to come up with a design which would actually look for everything, it will do everything. But then our venture capitalist, he said that, see, in marketing it is not that it is not possible. So he once told me one marketing lesson very well, which I remember clearly. He said that if you want to sell coffee, it should be either a hot coffee or it should be a cold coffee. So you should have a clear differentiation from it. You should not, there is nothing which is called as a I mean, not so hot coffee. So it is not there. You either have a cold coffee or you either have a hot coffee. So there is nothing in between. So that is when we came up with click with things that why can't we have three different vehicles for three different categories. And that was something which we started looking into. And that was actually the birth of yeah. Then we started identifying three different categories like the adventure, the scramblers, and the roadster. So first, these three categories came into our mind that fine, we will have exactly three different categories and three different bikes which will cater to this. Yeah. So as you see, we then came up with ideas like fine, this can be a motorcycle which will be adventure oriented. There can be one motorcycle which is a scrambler, and then we have this roadster. So when we presented to the management, then everybody was very happy. Yes, very good idea, very good idea. But they told us no, we don't have money and we don't have even the engineering to do all three bikes. So then again, it was a big problem for us that how can we do all these things, because the engine and the chassis, that was only thing that we had. Rest of the things he said, "Nah, do what you want to do, but I'm not going to change the engine and the chassis." So that was the again a challenge. So we again went back to the drawing boards and tried to understand that just with one single chassis and the same engine, I mean, definitely the engine will be tuned for three different purposes. But with the same layout, how can we come up with three different motorcycles? And that was a big challenge for us. So then again, what we did is we tried to understand how the framework of the motorcycle works properly. And in the next slide, if you see, yeah. So each and every individual motorcycle, we felt that fine, we should go into the deep dive into that category and understand how this actually motorcycle will function. So first motorcycle that we designed was the adventure motorcycle. And as you can see in the adventure, you do a lot of off-roading stuff. You carry a lot of luggage. You go to places where actually it is really inaccessible to go, but you really are very much confident of the machine that it will take you there. So those characteristics we actually try to put it on the layout. So if you see in this layout again, we have increased the wheel, I mean the ground clearance of these vehicles. So the ground clearance is around like 200 and we changed the wheel sizes. The front wheel is like almost 21 inches wheel, and the rear is a 17. So these kind of changes we made, and we came up with a very beautiful imagery or a layout which will very much work for the adventure. So that was our main thing, that this way, whatever vehicle we design, it should be true to its character. It should not be just like it has been covered with something else and you show that it is an adventure motorcycle. It was That was not the aim for it. Yeah. Yeah, and then we started sketching. Actually, this is the best part that I do whole day. But again, this actually comes in a quite a later stage. So these were the first initial sketches that we did. So if you can see, we have the layout in place. Again, there is, if you see both these sketches, you will find the wheel sizes are very different. That has a different wheel size, this has a different wheel size. The wheel sizes are very different for specific characteristics to add into the motorcycle. Yeah, so this is what we I mean we did concepts in all directions. In all directions means I think we did almost like 400 500 sketches of these types to come up with a final thing that what actually it will look like. Yeah, the next. Yeah, now if you see the change the two, just go. If you see this and you see the next one, see, this is what will change the layout. Now if you see in this one, just by changing the layout, you will see what is the stance of the vehicle becomes. It goes into a very more propelling stance, like a horse which is on a galloping horse. So these kind of small changes we did to the motorcycle, and we actually got our stance. So that was when we made this motorcycle, this was done like fine, this is best looking motorcycle, everything. But then the management again comes with no, but we have only one tank, so use that only. You cannot use anything else. So then again we go back to the drawing board, and the one of the tanks that we designed is that on the sketch on the right side. So this was the final theme that we made over here. Yeah, the next one. Yeah, and finally this is what is the motorcycle that you see on the roads. So after this, even after the concepts we have finalized, we have to put it into the actual layout. And these are basically post production renders. So this is not the actual renders. The motorcycle that we get, we just keep it and we sketch it, re-sketch it again to give it a very sketchy and very designer kind of a look. So this is what the final model looks like, but it's still very close to whatever we had thought it would be. So whenever we sketch, it is like a Christmas wish list that we have. But when actually goes down into production, we have to cut down a lot of small things, but we still try to keep it and keep the ethos of that adventure stuff into it. So it's always a fighting which goes on between the engineer, designers, and also the management people. So we really have to fight for each and every thing that you have designed onto the motorcycle. So this was the story for the for the adventure. Yeah. So the same kind of a process we also did for the scramblers. So as you see, the scramblers are more of a lifestyle motorcycles. See, whenever you travel more into the hardcore branding areas where Java and YSD is a very well-known brand. When we talk about a brand, the brand is it. The motorcycle, basically, the brand that we wanted to visualize is more like an accessory. That a guy will use this motorcycle as his accessory to look that it is an extension of himself. So that was one of our basic understandings when we designed this, came up with this scrambler theme. Now we had a lot of image boards that how this will look and what will be the theme of this motorcycle, how the colors of this motorcycle will be, what will be the accessories like. Everything was thought of before we actually started it also. And then again, the same process we followed. We made a layout. Now in this layout also, if you see the first cradle along with the engine, that layout is actually the same. It is the same. We have just changed the another proportions and everything to get up the style that actually we want upon. Yeah. Yeah, the same kind of if you see. So when we started actually making the scrambler, we were using the same tank which was there for the adventure also. But in between that, we came to know that fine, this actually this tank is actually not going with the our current scrambler. So that was a time that we really had to push the marketing guys and also our management that no, this tank will actually not go, because the scrambler is more of very rugged, very round, very soft kind of an approach it has. Yeah. So then we came up with this tank and we actually stick to our grounds that no, fine, this is only the styling that we want. It should be a very roundish tank and everything should go and flow along with the motorbike. So that was our hard point that we said no, and we had to really struggle quite a lot, because when it comes to investments, even a small tank if you want to design, it goes around like 2 to 3 cr. So that is the kind of investment you're asking from our investors. And it is very hard unless and until you are totally I mean to the ground. If you nail them that no, I'm not going to change it, till then you will not get any money. But when he said that, we really were able to get out with a different kind of a tank for this one, and we managed it somehow. Yeah. Yeah, so then the next part also comes in, like what are the accessories, what are the colors that you can see. So this is again a very different kind of a field. It is called color and graphics. So every motorcycle after designing, there is another team which takes over it. It is called as a color and graphics team, and it works for the colors, what will be the small details that has been added to it. And we have a fantastic team of color and graphic guys. Actually, I'm not so good in colors and everything. We designed a motorcycle and we just give it to them, and they come up with new colors, new trends, what will be the kind of badges which will be there, what is the pin striping that will be there, what is the kind of material will be there, what is the text, everything till the last detail. What will be the size of the screw, what will be the size of the texture of that screw, everything comes into that. So there are a list of around, like I think 500 600 items are there, and each item they very thoroughly they check it and they clear it off. Unless and it is not cleared, it doesn't go into production. So that is the kind of story of details that we go into for each and every part. Yeah. So yeah, so this is the again the final sketch. Actually, we had a round panel, but again due to other reasons, it got off. It has the same similar side panel as what we have for the ESDs. Again, you have to common things from this and that part, and all these things go on when there is money involved in it. Yeah, yeah. So this is the third motorcycle. Again, this was a roadster kind of a thing. So whenever you talk about a roadster, it is a very simple looking motorcycle which is hugging to the roads. and you can go on long rides for it. So basically, it is a roadster is not a cruiser. Cruiser is something which is having a long wheelbase and you can just sleep on it and go. But roadster are not like it is more active. So we deliberately designed the roadster and not an cruiser because we felt that in the SD ethos, it was SE was always meant to be slightly sportier and not relaxed. So it had a high adrenaline rush into it. So that is the reason why we felt that fine roadster we will not design a cruiser in that segment. And we so this is again we had a simple so this is basically this is the Java, so in simple terms, but it is a a pepped up Java. So what we did is we increased the wheelbase by almost like 50 or something, and we had a longer wheelbase. We had fatter tires to it, and it gave a totally changed stance of the complete vehicle. And then we started on working upon it and redesigning it. So yeah, yeah. So this was that. Now, if you see the Java, if you see the Java and you see this vehicle, even though the maximum of the parts are the common sharing, but still this looks a very very different animal than that. It is long, it is simple. Again, in this one, what we felt that we need to have two kind of motorcycles. One can be slightly sportier, and one can be slightly more classic, more old fashioned. So this was again comparison that we did in the same category. Yeah, yeah. So that was the one, and this is the another one. So if you see in CTG again, it has a chrome engine, and this has a very black theme. So these were the two concepts that we finally came up with. As you see, small changes even in the graphics, like the chrome which is added, the silencer which goes, and this is a very black kind of a thing. So when you say black, it looks very strong, very butch kind of a feel it gives. And when you say it's chrome, it gives a very different kind of a vibe to the complete motorcycle. So just by changing small color and trims and details, you really change the whole look of the bike, and it has a very different customer base. So this is the way we actually categorize and change the customer bases with classic customer. Then we go into a customer who is very highly sporty. So that is the differentiation that we always make into this. Yeah. Yeah, then similar kind of things, if you see small detail, even the lower image, if you see on the left side, that is a brake pedal. Even on the brake pedal we had done some or the other things so that it added up to the value to it. And then their badges, then the tank caps. If you see on the right side, what will be coming on the side panel, the seating textures, all these things we did it to the last mile and to the last little efforts. That was very enjoying and very engrossing also. Yeah, yeah. And this is the final image of the. These are all product after we made the motorcycle. These were the renders that we did. Yeah. Yeah, fine. And these are the final three motorcycles. So there was a very big ad shoot for that. And yeah, so this is the time actually till the time we are involved in the project. So even the marketing guys, they come and tell us what is kind of vibe that you need onto the motorcycle. So we are involved into the last process. I mean, sometimes you also have to go to the production plant and tell them that fine, this is the way you have to detail it out. This is the way you have to apply those things. So till from the sketching, ideation of all these things till actually the customer gets the motorcycle. So that is a very interesting thing. And when you see those motorcycles on the road, it's I think it's a very different feeling that I mean only the person can understand who has gone through the complete process. It's a very mesmerizing thing, and I'm really happy that whatever whenever I see those motorcycles on the road, I mean I have a very different kind of feeling. I mean I cannot express it, but it is a very satisfying feeling. I get to talk with a lot of customers who ride Javas and everything, and I just tell them that these are the bikes that we had designed and everything. So they, I mean, it's very different. I take one of these. I mean, Pushkar is one of the very favorite. He has got the adventure bike. So whenever I see those bikes in motion, it's a very different feeling that you get, and you really it's a different level kind of a content things that you get. Yeah.
So thanks, Pradeep. Thanks for walking us through the motorcycle journey. As you rightly said, I'm one of the first owners of yes, the adventure motorcycle in Pune, and I'm loving it. So kudos to all the great job that you have done. So yes, now it's time for the question and answers. And if you have any questions, please just raise your hand, and I'll come to you with the mic. But just to get you started, Pradeep, you're walking on a like when I'm looking at the auto industry, it's going through a massive change of sorts. Here you are talking about resurrecting old brands, bringing them to the market, and you're working very, very tightly on the brand ethos that were set in the 60s, perhaps. And here there are new age competitors who are coming with everything electric. You're taking out the engine, the way the motorcycle rides is very different. And of course, is there a scope for an old brand to even think of an EV to match with the times? So how are you balancing these conflicts that are bound to happen? You're designing for the next 2 years, and in next 2 years, is there something, if an old brand were to do an electric, was there any scope at all for them to think like that?
Uh, See, whenever we talk about trends, whenever we talk about designs, actually nothing goes out of vogue anytime. So it is always a circle. I mean, whenever you go into the old days, I mean, I will give a simple example of the bell bottom jeans. So that was there in the 70s and 80s. Now it has traveled back and it has come down again as a fashion trend. So the fashion actually doesn't go away anywhere. So if you see on the sideways, it is more like it has traveled a distance. It is not a circle. It is like a spring. So you come to the same point after some time, maybe after 30 years, 40 years. So you come back to the same time, but in a very different trendy way. Now those bell bottoms, now you see what women wear. So they are not anyway close to what Amitabh Bachchan used to wear in Dawn. They are of this trendy fashion. And I'm sure in the coming years is that bell bottoms will again come in, because classic or styles doesn't actually never die away. They just translate themselves into a new form, and again that form goes back, again it comes. So it is and circle of things which always goes on. And for the electric, definitely we are working on which is called as a Java electric. So that is one of the projects that I'm currently working upon. And I feel it is see, at the end of the day, the characteristics of the bike will not go. Everybody wants to have the same kind of a feel when he sits on the motorcycle. So Java and classic, it has a very specific feel to it. So that feel will not go, whether you give it as an engine or you give it as a electric bike. I think the feeling is the same. At the end, you want emotions out of it. So most of the people are not worried about it will be an ice engine or an electric engine. So
Any questions from the audience? Yeah, there's one from Aniket over there.
So hi,
hi, hello.
myself Aniket. Basically, I'm an industrial designer. So I'm also yeah. So I'm also riding adventure motorcycle, which is a Royal Enfield Himalayan since 4 years. So first, I would like to congratulate you that you guys have really came up with a good styling design. Okay, so I have seen like there are many players in the market, and Java and is doing really good into that. So I have seen that there is a part of community building. Okay, which we call as a overall group. Okay, the group forming is there. Okay, so how Java and SD is approaching towards that part also. Okay, so that is my question.
See, whenever, as I told you, whenever you called about classic brand, it's maybe Java or SD or Royal Enfield. So all these things are done actually by the community. So it is just not the motorcycling. So we always called ourselves Classic Legends as it's a motorcycling company. It is not a motorcycle company. It's a motorcycling company. So motorcycling actually gives and rise to a different kind of an ethos and different kind of characteristics that we build into our brand, for especially for the scrambler and the adventure. So we have very specific groups which is called as a Java community, KUMM, and we go into that and we have these trail attacks kind of a things over many places. And in that they teach you how to ride actually adventure motorcycle, a scrambler, for that matter. So there is a very different kind of an approach which people I mean the marketing teams works on all these, getting all these events and everything. But again, as I told you, we are still in a very nascent stage. Currently we have just been like 5 years into the market. And to break into this market where Royal Enfield has a very strong presence, almost before we came, Royal Enfield was 80 to 90% of the complete market. So getting something from jaws of a tiger, it is very very hard. Currently also we are I mean, since we are a startup, we are still a very small community of designer. I mean, as a company we are still small, we are not as big as Ari. But the advantages of being a small company is we take a lots and lots of different approaches, and it's very different. Like currently if you see, we have also got the single seater bobber. So no OEM or nobody will even think of making a motorcycle which is a single seater, but that is what we have done. So it shows us we are extremely courageous in taking very different approaches. And this is a community building, we are actually very much into that. But still it is not as compared to Ari. If you even look into the numbers, till now I think we have sold around 1.5 lakh motorcycles, and it is in the whole of India. So it is not more than. And RE sells around 40,000 vehicles per month. So you can understand the number of vehicles they already have in the market, and we are nowhere close to that. But still we are having our own approach of working into things. And yeah, we just focus on what we can do right. So that is what is our always the focus is. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions? I have one question for you, Pradeep. I see a lot of female riders, at least in this auditorium, and I see one on your picture as well. And you've been designing. You've been talking about your mood boards and personas, and I'm pretty sure a person who is looking at a roadster is not looking at an adventure. So now it's good to see a female rider there, and it's good to see so many students who are looking at motorcycling with some interest over here. Are you designing motorcycles differently for women? Is there any scope to do that, or motorcycles are just good things for everybody?
Yeah. Yeah, we have been looking into this aspect. As you can see, the one of the our Parag motorcycles which is there, if you look into the demographics of who is buying those things, mostly we have found that almost 50% of the female riders are there on the Parag. So that is it. Though one thing that we consider it about is motorcycle is more like a unisex product, and it has this emotion, and emotion actually doesn't have any gender. Anybody can have that emotion. For that matter, what we take care of it is the seat height. At the end of the day, you need to ride that motorcycle, so it should not be the seat height for the Indian standard. Actually we consider the women also. So our most of the motorcycles, the seat height is very low. So it is around like 760, 65 or something, which is a extremely comfortable I would say seat height. So we generally try to keep that seat height to that level, so that generally all women and all everybody can enjoy it. So that is one of the aspects what we take care of. But I think in another terms, like the colors and everything, I think automotives are some things which you really cannot attach any gender specific colors or anything to you. No, it doesn't work. I think pink colors are it's again a marketing gimmick from the western areas, that pink is for women and blue is for boys. I think it is just the marketing thing. That is nothing more. I think colors are colors. I mean, anybody can like any color. So that is not. I mean, at least we don't believe in all these things.
What's the turnaround time from sketch to product in market
Uh,
for in
yeah, see, it depends upon a lot of aspects. Especially if you're starting a new project, totally new, that bike is not there in the market. So it is around like 3 to 4 years. We generally take time, but in the current scenario, it doesn't work that way. I mean, you anytime you need to have just 2 years to come up with new things, because if you see in the social media trending, everything has got a very short lifespan in the coming years. So we also cannot say that after 5 years, I do not know after 5 years what will happen. Everything might change. So it is a very short term, and that is the reason why things are getting very pushed up right now. Like in 2 years we really have to have the vehicle. And this thing, what we that is the reason why we use a lot of commonization part. We use a similar engine configuration which is there, internals might change. So we do a lot of things in which we can use commonized parts and then come up with new ideas and new configurations. So that is the way we actually work. So even if you say it's 2 years, most of the things are actually cosmetic. Internal things actually you can keep on changing. I mean, there is a lot of things. You have the engine map. You change engine map, that new engine generally goes off. You can give it an any character. So these kind of things we focus.
what kind of investment for a single bike?
Actually, the investment goes to crores. At least for this one bike, it goes around like I think it's like around 30 to 40 cr for developing one complete motorcycle.
Hi Pradeep.
Hi.
So my question is about creating a concept. So we have seen shotgun as a concept in recent times that Ari has made, and they eventually got a bike out of it. And we have also seen cars doing it, similar to Jimny or Tata doing it. Many things like creating a concept car, putting it up on the shows, and then getting customer reviews. Are we seeing anything like that in bike industry? And I haven't seen something like that for a long time. But is there a possibility that this is going to happen?
See, concept bikes as a company, we do not look at it in a very what we say a very good way, because see there is a lot of investments that goes into it. I mean, for making one concept bike, if I want to spend like 15 to 20 cr, so it doesn't make any sense for my logical mind. Maybe when we are a very big company, that point of re and the car industries can afford, because their turnaround is that much. So our turnaround is not that much, so still we do not come to that level. We really cannot spend on money on things which are like fancy. Rather, I will put my money into the concept or make it more appealing for the next year or something like that. So that is the way I will spend my money currently. But maybe in the next years, when we are a settled business, we'll definitely look into putting concepts and then coming up with different ideas. So again, it is a game of money. The more you have, the more you can do all those things. Till you don't have, you better sell whatever you have.
And my second question
Yeah.
was about sound branding. So each of these motorcycles
Mhm.
have their unique sound.
Yeah.
So when thinking of SD or Java at that time, I definitely listened to Java and I know that's a
Mhm.
Java. Was the same thought given to SD when you were thinking of the brand Resurrection?
Yeah, definitely. We had thought a lot about these things. Actually, when you see the ESD, it has that kind of a feeling to it. But that point of time, those engines were like two-stroke engines. So in getting a two-stroke engine fire that way was it's okay. But currently, the ARI, I mean the certification companies that we have, they are so it is so tight to get anything. The general thing is like 80 dBi. So 80 dB is something which is very normal sound that you hear. So beyond that, we really cannot go for getting our motorcycles passed from the ARI. So what we generally do is in our this also in Java also we have a flute which goes inside. So if you remove that, then you get a very good sound. So that is what we're trying to do now. So it is just a way around it. But I mean, it's yeah, it's the way it is. You have to have a lot of. There are so many things which goes from just from the engine. There are cat cons and everything, and then it comes into the silencer. So it's technically it's very challenging to do it currently, but we try to manage it in some other way. So that's what we do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I have one more question. Like there is a we are getting stepped into EV market right now. Okay, and what I also feel that in motorcycle the heart is the engine. Okay, so the sound we feel. Okay, and most of the audience, okay, choose the bikes on the basis of sound also, as well as the styling also. So when we are going to shift into the EV, okay, so how we are going to achieve that sound, a typical sound presence, okay, in the EV market? Because I guess the bikes or we have right now, okay, in the EV segment, okay, those are typically noiseless, okay. But since we are really used to with this kind of bikes since many years, okay, and as a user I wanted to get that feeling, okay. So can you just pass on the idea how we can make that possible in the upcoming future?
See, in design, it is always one thing that is followed, that you don't fake anything. If it is there, it is there. It is not there, it is not there. See, the sound thing comes because we have heard the sound. So our generation has come hearing that sound, but the next generation, if they do not hear the sound, hearing a sound will be a problem for them. So that is the kind of shift that always happens. As I told you, explained, even in fashion, the same kind of things happen. The perceptions keep on changing with each passing generation. And as a designer, we should be, I mean, I am aware of this, that this thing might happen. So if there is no sound, then we have to compensate it with something, some other character to the motorcycle, which will be more appealing to it. So sound is like we the Yazdi sound was there previously. Then we moved now to a very simple sound, and after some time the sound will be gone. But the people generations, I mean, who are born in like 2010, just now. So my daughter, she's like 10 years old. She might not just like the noise of the motorcycle. She will say, "What is this motorcycle that you are riding?" So that is the kind of generation changes happen every time. So I do not think that is the problem. The people from maybe from slightly older 80s and 90s, they will miss it, but the new people will have this as a norm. They will say that there is no noise in the motorcycle, it is like that only. Yeah.
Maybe old generation people will have to adopt that change, right? That,
Yeah, they will miss it out, that's all.
okay. But still, do you feel that there will be a possibility that you can bring that generation also into that? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Acha.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
See,
Okay.
because then what happens, you will have to add in some speakers or something, and it is really fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So doing, as I told you, na, design is always very true. If
Okay.
it is there, it is enhanced in a very beautiful way. If
Mhm.
it is not there, then that something else will be coming to that place. Something new character of the electric bike will be coming. So that will be there in that. So that whole thing will, I mean, the missing of this sound will be filled up with something else. That's what I'm trying to tell. So that
Okay.
same experience, it will be some different experience which he will not feel, he will not think also about the sound. So that might work. Yeah.
My again counter
Yeah.
question is on sound again.
Yeah.
Okay, since there are electrical vehicles
Mhm.
passing, okay, by the road. Okay, so when I'm riding, okay, so when there is no noise, okay, so there is not any kind of awareness that any bike is passing. So sometimes I feel insecure. Okay, so what do you think? How we can take on this? Because somewhere I still feel there should be a sound. There should be physical presence. Okay, that okay, someone is passing by. Okay, so that's why my question was
Yeah.
like it's not only about the old generation, they wants the sound, but it's also about the functionality, it's also about the usability perspective also, that why it is necessary, why the sound is necessary.
See, as I told you, one thing goes, it is always put by something else.
Mhm.
Now, if the sound goes and if you want to understand the motorcycle is coming, there is something which is called as the IoT, which is coming, Internet of Things. Maybe on your display, you will understand everything which motorcycle is coming, which is going down, everything will come to know. So that kind of one thing goes, the another, there is some another thing which will come and it will replace it. So you will not need that. As I told you, we are always looking from our perspective of things. But when something change, there is not only that thing changes, there are three to four different changes which change along with you, and you make it makes you comfortable after some time. So that's what the crash is. So we miss one thing, but there are two other things which come for our I mean, it takes our mind. So these two things, when they go, then there are another three things which come, which take care of that particular thing. So this is a progression, you generally go into that direction. And I think after, if every motorcycle becomes a electric kind of thing, people will not even miss this.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
I'm Ashutosh. I've been a Royal Enfielder for last 5 6 years, 100K plus kilometers on the road. My question is, I know, when you establish a bike, right? Sales is important, but then after sales is also important, right? After sales services. So for someone like me to switch out of RE, right? What confidence or what is your strategy in terms of after sales services when I'm doing off-roading, in remote Konkan or any remote areas, right? What confidence would I get that if something happens, the nearest service point would be at least 50 kilometers from where I am. So what is the strategy on that?
See, see, RE is a very big brand currently for us also, and we are still a very nascent things in that things. See, when if you see the story of RE also in 2005, 2006, when the classic came in 2009, actually my friend bought it and the panels used to drop off. So that was the kind of a thing motorcycle it was there. Now they had journey of around like 10 to 12 years to come to this level, and we are just starting out right now. It's 5 years. So I mean, to compare their 20 years journey with just our 5 years journey is a bit kind of, I don't think it's in the same page. But definitely on our side, we are trying very hard to give this customer satisfactions. And as I told you, in today's age, even if you tweet something about it and tag in Anand Mahindra, somebody will come to your rescue. You will take your bike on his shoulder and you will get. So that is there. But as I told you, it's a slow and steady journey for us. So it will definitely take time. And currently, as I told, Pushkar is like an early adopter of our motorcycle, so he has a lot of faith in it. And from this word of mouth, I think it is currently it is placing going to places. As you have seen, we are not actually giving a lot of weightage on advertising, because we know that if we put a good ad in any IPL, anything, I mean, it's Mahindra brand, they don't have any less of money. We can just put some ESD brand on anybody's t-shirt and we can get that much amount of I mean the sales. But the problem is we want to take it extremely steady and slow. So that is our main thing. You do something, but you do in the best possible way. You should not fail. Otherwise, if we can do it right now, I mean, you know, so in this world of marketing, you just put some good spend some like 50, 60 cr onto the marketing budget, and you really can ramp up your things. But if you fail in that point of a moment, our whole band will just fail off. So that is not we want to do. We want to take it really slow and steady, get the best machines out of it there. Anybody, even a small problem that we face from any customer, we really like to give him a very personal touch. Once we are having a target, like as a classic legends, we are an unicorn in the Mahindra group. We are considered as a unicorn in the Mahindra group. So once our target is reaching that 1 billion of sales, in I mean sales in meaning of $1 meaning $1 million in sales, $1 billion in sales. So if that we reach, then definitely after that we'll ramp up. But till then, we are really taking it quite steady and slow, so that we do not make any mistakes. Because always, if you see, if you try to run fast, there is always something which is called as a repeat written on it. So we don't want to make that mistake, because you know, in business, one mistake if you make, and you really lose the whole confidence of whatever hard work we have actually put in. So definitely will that is our target, but we are steadily moving towards it.
Hi, I'm Atharva. I had a question about how would you go, or what would be your insight on creating a design language for the new EV of ESD? Like we are seeing brands like Ultraviolet, and they are going in a sports direction where their design language is getting very sleek and metamorphic, like a shark. So, how would you go about taking the ESD brand, which is quite tactile and analog, to a EV design language?
Actually, we are having two projects which are running around in Java motorcycles. So we are actually looking for these things, and it is still in that process. We're still in that process to understand that design language, how it will go. But definitely, we will always be in the arena of the classic motorbikes. So that is the zone which will always play in. But in classics also, there are like endpoints. Like we have a neo classic, which the details are very much like a sports bike, but the feel is always like in a classic zone. So that kind of a thing again we are working upon. See, when you say Yawa is the classic motorcycle, it should also ride like a classic motorcycle. So even if we go into electric, we'll be having to have the same characteristics, that the rideability of it, into try to get it into the electric. So that will be definitely there. But the design language and all, we are still I mean, as I showed the presentation, we are still in the churning area around it. So once something comes out, then we'll also know. Because I mean, designing is like searching for something unknown in the wild. You also do not know what you're searching, and once you go through that process, you realize, fine, this is what we want. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question. So you've been designing motorcycles, and these motorcycles are something that get heavily customized. I mean, you will never see a stock classic RE or a stock classic ESD on the road. As a designer who has put blood and tears into creating this design, when you see somebody else messing with your design, what is your feeling?
uh, Actually, the basic thing for the SD was a customizable thing. We had thought about it, that people will customize their things. So most of these customizable things we only provide them. So what we do is, we have a silencer set, we have a seat set, everything is there, what we only give them. So it is easy for that. Do it accordingly to the message. But there are always many people who really want to chop their bikes. I mean, there are very few. So but many times they come up with really good ideas. And I really love when they play with the bike and they do something, add their own customization, add their own flavor onto the bike. It's very nice. I really feel proud about it. See, design is, again, as I told you, is very perception based. What I may like, you may not like it. So that is always going to be there. But I'm really happy that he has taken the design that we have made, and he has put some effort on it. It feels really nice, and he wants to make the bike that looks good for him. So design, I mean, in design there is nothing right and nothing wrong. He likes it, so it's good for him. I might not like it because I have some notions of design is this way or that way, but that doesn't happen. If he's happy with it, it's okay.
Any last question?
Yeah, so I have one question, little different context. So whole world is moving towards AI, or they call generative design, right? How you see that is impacting your base? Like you said, 3 to 4 years time from paper to production, right? Now that can bring down drastically, right? So in the actual industry, how you are looking at those technologies now?
Yeah, actually, most of the new technology we are coming, we are not taking them as a threat or anything. We look into how we can use them and use it for our advantage. So that is the way we look at it. See, at the end of the day, whatever you say, this motorcycle, I mean, even if the RPT is done in like one day, half a day, everything, but still there is some amount of time it will always take. And at the end of the day, a person is going to ride the motorcycle. It is not some another thing. So unless and until a human is going to ride that motorcycle, all these things will never change. That is not going to change at all. So that is and most of the things I always try to adapt to new technologies, new things, and we should be excited about it. If a new thing is coming, I really like to learn it, and I like to see that how I can apply and get those things on board to my design concepts or these things. So that is what is the way we look at it. It is not a threat as such. It is, I
No,
think
I'm
it
not
is.
saying
Yeah.
threat as such, but let's say tank design, you may have to draw 1,000
uh,
drawings of concept, right? Now,
mhm,
within 5 minutes, I can give you the 1,000 iterations of that
mhm.
tank, right? So, do you see that is being used today in
Yeah,
your?
yeah, it is used.
Okay,
It is used. It is
okay,
heavily used.
okay.
Heavily, we use it quite, quite very fast. I mean, when I was there, we used to draw sketches and do presentation. Now, currently, we use this VR goggles and do the presentations. But at the end of the day, as I told you, unless and until you see the bike in 1:1 flesh, it is very hard to judge anything. Yeah, it is
No
nothing
better
like that.
person than Pradeep to answer that.
See, as I told you, my background is an architect. I'm an architect. I After completing my architecture, I was working almost for 2 years, and then I came across IDC, applied for it, and I got into it. So I do not think it is like that, but engineering base would always be preferred, because in architecture I lagged quite much into maths. I somehow managed to do it. And when you come into designing, especially in automotive designing, there is a lots of maths, because I have to deal with engineers day in and day out. And unless and until I know what they are talking about, I really cannot tell them. Otherwise they will just keep on fooling me that this is not possible, this is not possible. So I also need to understand, be good at maths. And I really stepped up my understanding of how these technical things do work and all these things. But definitely having an engineering base will always help, because at the end of the day, you have to manufacture these things. It's not just showing the sketches or anything. It's not going to happen. You have to make this thing, and making this thing is a really a very engineering marvel. So that is no, no, it is not that mandatory. I think if you are really like those things, you will learn all along the way. So that is because when I joined in Bajaj, that point of time I used to deal with engineers, and I really did not understand what they were talking about. But then since I loved all doing all these things, I went to deep dive into these electric engineering concepts about how the engine, what is the pressure, what is all these things, and that is the kind of knowledge that you need to have, so that you can tell them in their language. Yeah, that's the only thing.
We can just say something. I think Pradeep, you have raised curiosity in quite a few minds, and Pradeep will be around. In the interest of getting the next session started, we'll have to pause today, and he'll be around, and you can definitely catch up with him for more personal stories that can't be told in public as well. Pradeep, thanks a lot for coming on stage and sharing your experiences in motorcycle design. There are some very pertinent questions. What background should I do before I do design or not? And I think you should definitely pay a visit to all the education institutes that are displaying their stalls in the back. All your questions will get answered by the tutors there, and you'll have a much more, what do you say, insights into what your child needs to look at when they're choosing their career forward in design. It's definitely the most rewarding thing that has happened to many of us, and that's why we are very passionate about it. Please do follow us on ADI. We are on Instagram, and you can definitely check us out on adi.org.in. So here's putting an end to or putting a pause to Pradeep's talk in the interest of the next session. Please do interact with him and get your queries answered. Thanks a lot, Pradeep.